What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warriors Report. I have a special guest with me today. I'll let you introduce yourself.
What is up, everybody? It's JJ Buckets, and very clearly, I am out of my own natural elements. And for those of you that watched the last video, you would have known that I'm going on vacation. So here's me on vacation in a completely different part of the country, and thankfully, in a place where I couldn't ask for anything better. I am on the Warriors Report live.
Well, thank you for being here. I'm super excited to do this, and of course, guys, before we get into the details of the video, you know what the drill. Make sure to go over to JJ Buckets, hit the subscribe button on his channel. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up. It does help reach more basketball fans. And let's get right into the video, JJ. So let's talk about Scottie Barnes now. We've seen a little bit about Scottie Barnes and what he's capable of doing. It is a small size sample, but he's really impressed me, and some of the things he's able to do and his rebounding ability, how he attacks the basket. He does not look like a rookie. What has impressed you so far about Scottie Barnes?
Honestly, for me in particular, I think it was the Celtics game where I looked at Scottie and he looked like somebody that has future superstar written all over him. I feel like I made a bad impression of Raptors fans with one of my videos where I was talking about the preseason overreactions and how I wanted to wait until we got, regular season sample sizes on Barnes before really driving up the hype train, because I just was not there for the Magic Johnson comparisons at the time. I'm still not there for the Magic Johnson comparisons. Don't get me wrong. We're talking about a top 5 player of all time. You never know with this kind of stuff, but I don't quite think Scottie's going to get there. But at the same time, he has been very impressive. Once again, please don't get my words twisted. I love Scottie Barnes. He is a great out of the gate. He, to me, he reminds me a lot of Draymond Green if Draymond wasn't a liability as a scorer. I think in the scoring department, it's really hard for me to zero in on who he completely reminds me of. I feel like I don't want to say the lazy comparison, but the one that jumps out I guess easily to me is Giannis. And I don't really know if that's where I want to go with that. But at the same time, it's hard to look at some of the things that he does offensively in terms of just being a bully and just not think of Giannis in some ways. But just his defense has been so impressive right out of the gate. It is. And I think we all knew that it was going to be right. His defense was definitely going to be his selling point initially. And his offense was the thing that was going to need to do work. But it seems like his offensive game is a lot further along. And obviously he'll still need more improvement on that end. But at the same time, he's been impressive in so many ways. But out of the gate, initially, it's the defense for me. I think with Scottie Barnes on that team, it is so easy to see this team just being an elite defensive unit, where as long as we can put 95 on the board, we'll hold the other team down to 90. So it's a win.
Absolutely. You know what? What I really like about Scottie Barnes, and he's mentioned this in his interview as well, is he wants to guard the best player. And I'm going to throw a little bit of a bold take, which might be a really hot take here. He looks better than OG Anunoby on defense. And
that is a bold take. That's a very bold take.
And I don't know. You guys can let me know in the comment section below, but that is because we're seeing Scottie Barnes guard the best player on the other team, right? We saw that with Luka Doncic. We saw that with Jason Tatum. And that's not to disrespect OG Anunoby. We know OG Anunoby is a terrific defender, but just some of the things you see from Scottie Barnes is a really smart defender. His length, of course, gives him a huge advantage. He's a few inches taller than OG Anunoby. And his IQ level is really up there. So I really like Scottie Barnes. His defense obviously has impressed me. And I like how he attacks the basket. He doesn't just drive. Sometimes with rookies, you see them driving in a straight line like this. He works around the guys. He has a sidestep move he did against the Celtics, which he kind of just went around their shorter player and just made that easy layup. And he just makes so much on offense and defense. And Nick Nurse loves him. And even Jason Kidd, like he talked about, he has superstar potential. He said, if this guy isn't a superstar already, he's headed there. So I really love Scottie Barnes. And I was actually thinking Giannis too. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw his pre-draft videos and everything, all the scouting I did, and you mentioned this as well, I did a Pascal Siakam comparison, but I definitely do see a lot more Giannis in him. His length just is really impressive. The way he attacks the basket, his strides,
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's something in the strides in particular that just looks so Giannis-esque. and just like the aggression as well. And like you saw it with like a couple of like the really nasty putbacks that he had against the Celtics. Like if that's the kind of physicality that he's going to be playing with, he is going to be right at home in this league, and he'll be a max player in no time.
Absolutely. All right. So before we move on to our next topic, I'm going to ask you one quick question here. I'm going to give you, do you think Scottie Barnes can win the Rookie of the Year?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously, again, like it's still a really small sample size, and we'll have to see how it progresses, I'd say, over the next month. But if Scottie keeps playing up to kind of what we've seen and keeps a consistent level going forward from here, I can confidently say like he will remain in that starting lineup one way or another, even when Pascal Siakam comes back. And I mean, it's really hard to answer who you take out of that starting lineup because Precious has looked surprisingly good out of the gate too. Like I know I talked about it like way earlier in the offseason, but initially I would have expected Khem Birch to be the starter at center. Precious has obviously won that role, and for good reason. Like he's been very impressive. To me, it's tough. I feel like when Pascal's back, you drop probably Gary Trent Jr. from the starting lineup, even though like you do lose a little bit of shooting because of that. But defensively, like that lineup is going to be crazy with Pascal back. I think there's a chance to develop some really good chemistry there. And I bring it up because do I think he can win Rookie of the Year? Yes, because I think in this time that Pascal's gone, he's going to earn a good enough role where he can stay in the starting lineup throughout the year and continue to make a really healthy impact. I know, again, it's still early. My odds-on favorite, I would still bet on Jalen Green if I had to right now, but I think Scottie Barnes will be right in that race all year long, and the sky's the limit for him. I think he has a great opportunity to take home Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, no, you made some great points. I think it entirely depends on how Scottie Barnes is going to be once Pascal comes back. It's very unlikely he'll get his minutes cut, but the touches may not be there, right? Because Pascal is going to be taking shots, and we obviously have OG and Fred VanVleet as well. And I was just going to ask you the next question: who did you remove from the starting lineup? But you beat me to that question. We think alike, so yeah. So Gary Trent, I would think most likely we'd have to remove him from the starting lineup once Pascal comes back. But as you mentioned, that defense is going to be elite. That length is going to be amazing. And I joked in the offseason, I said, you know what? The length that the Raptors have with signing all these 6'9" guys, you can literally just hold hands at the 3-point line and cover the entire court. But it's going to be exciting to see Scottie Barnes throughout the year. I think if I were to give you guys a prediction, I don't see him winning Rookie of the Year. Not because he's not capable of. I just think the touches won't be there as much once Pascal returns. And I think he'll be really close. He'll be top 3 running for a Rookie of the Year candidate. But ultimately, I do think Jalen Green is going to win as well. So with that being said, let's move on to some more news we have about the Raptors this morning, which is Rodgers apparently trying to get rid of Masai Ujiri in the offseason. Now we know why Masai Ujiri took so long to sign a contract with the Raptors. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't get it. I really don't get it. So yeah, the whole bit of the story there is just that I think his name is Edward Rodgers. Obviously, MLSE is a combination of Bell and Rodgers working together. Edward Rodgers was apparently just against the idea of bringing Pascal back because he thought the money that they were offering.
Masai
Pascal, you were completely right. Yeah, he was against the idea of bringing Masai back because he thought that Masai just wasn't worth the money that they were offering, and apparently just badmouthed Masai in the negotiations. He thought that Bobby Webster, could do a better job running the team and all this stuff. And obviously at that point, like the talk is that it went to damage control, where like the Bell side of MLSE and everybody else had to work together to like get Pascal in. So it really, I guess, gives context and helps you realize why the Masai negotiations took as long as they did. And just, I don't get the thought process though. Let's be real about it. The Raptors were, I don't want to say a bit of a joke franchise, but like they were a punching bag to a certain extent before Masai showed up. Yes, there were some successful years, obviously, while Vince Carter was there, while Chris Bosh was there, even though, God, I think
first round exits.
First round exits. And even the years where like with Chris Bosh, where they won the Atlantic Division, I don't remember their record off the top of my head, but 47, it was like barely,
47, 48 wins. But
like it was barely. it wasn't as good as like some of the other top teams in the conference. That was back when the rules were still that
the division winners, still top 3
go higher. Like I think if you reseeded it like by today's standards, they would have been much lower in the conference. Basically, my point there is the Raptors organization was still trying to find its footing for a very long time there. And it wasn't until like Masai showed up. I was going to say Pascal again. It wasn't until Masai showed up that the organization really took a turn for the better. I think, if I'm not mistaken, how many winning seasons in a row was it? It was like 8 winning seasons, 9 winning seasons in a row.
We had,
up until like last year, it was like the first season there that kind of broke that streak. Like they became a consistent winner. They became one of the most respected franchises in the league, and kind of like unanimously, they were discussed in circles about just being one of the most well-run organizations in basketball because of Masai's leadership, because of Masai's presence, and just why would you do anything to upset a man like that? Like, come on, Masai has earned all the acclaim, all the stature, like over his tenure so far with the Raptors. Like if he asked for the moon, you ask him, okay, you don't want the sun? Like you give him what he wants. Like he's done his job in elevating the Raptors to a franchise that's won a championship, and it's like fairly quickly since he took over. So like I don't understand what Edward Rogers was doing. I don't understand the thought process and why he was so against I was about to say Pascal again.
You got Pascal on your mind.
I do. Why he was so against Masai. Definitely, I think foolish for doing it, if you ask me. But whatever, what's done is done. Like no harm has come out of it. But at the same time, just Edward Rogers, bro. I don't know what was going on.
By the way, he's an ex-Rogers employee. So
yeah,
there we go. Thankfully and rightfully so. But thankfully they were saying the article said that Larry Tannenbaum fixed it and he wanted Masai Ujiri to come back. So thank goodness for Larry Tannenbaum, because I don't know where we would be without him. But I believe he's the chairman of MLSE. I could be wrong, but thankfully he was smart enough to bring Masai Ujiri back. But I just don't understand the logic, like you said. You don't just get rid of a guy who's won you a championship. Apparently, they were saying Masai Ujiri is too arrogant. This is Ted Rogers saying he was too arrogant. He had security. Edward Rogers. Sorry, not Ted Rogers. Edward Rogers. We're mixing up names here, but you guys know who we're talking about. But it just makes no sense. You don't get rid of a guy who's completely changed the perception of the Raptors as a team, as a franchise, and also just as we have this weird virus. Sorry, guys, we have this virus pop up on my screen. I couldn't see myself, but
there are hot singles in the area.
We don't get rid of a guy who's completely turned the franchise around. And it's not just the fact that we've won. The drafting, the scouting, everything. Masai Ujiri is responsible for bringing all of these guys in, and Nick Nurse as well, and just some of these bold moves he's made, and obviously trading for franchise player DeMar DeRozan away. And look, it's have faith in the guy. Why would you want to get rid of him? And they're talking about, they believe that Bobby Webster could take care of the Raptors instead of Masai Ujiri, but Bobby Webster was someone that Masai Ujiri brought in. So you're essentially keeping a part of Masai Ujiri. It made no sense to have keep Bobby Webster but get rid of Masai Ujiri. Thankfully, we're really lucky for obviously some smart people in the organization that said, no, we need Masai back. And we're also very lucky that Masai Ujiri did not get really angry by this and say, look, I'm going to leave the Raptors and go to another organization. If this had been another executive general manager, they could have easily said, look, I feel insulted. I am not coming back. But thankfully, Masai Ujiri, he is who he is. He's very nice and he loves Toronto, so he was able to come back. But
yeah, I think it was part of that whole report too, where he was considering just taking a year off from being the Raptors president because of that initial interaction with Edward Rogers. So thankfully that wasn't the case. And what you going back to what you were talking about, like the Bobby Webster and everything, to compare it to another sport, it kind of reminded me of the situation where this isn't the best comparison, but I'll still give it anyways. Where it was like with the Philadelphia Eagles in football, where they fired Andy Reid and then they turned around a couple of years later after the whole Chip Kelly experiments, and they went and brought in a coach from Andy Reid's coaching tree, where it was like, okay, so you fired this man and then you went and got one of his staffers, one of his coaches. Like that makes no sense to me. It's if your idea is like to move away from like the current regime, why are you hiring within the current regime
who's worked under it? So
or promoting a guy like Bobby that's obviously so closely tied to Masai, where it makes no sense. I genuinely I don't know what was going on in this dude's head. Not that I would assume to know anything of the guy's character, but maybe he had something personally out for Masai. Don't quote me on that. That is absolute hearsay. I'm literally just taking a best guess, educated, I guess, guess type of thing there. But just happy that situation didn't take a turn for the worse, like you said, for the Raptors, and that Masai was willing to be kind of the bigger man, bigger person. And the franchise obviously did a good job of doing the damage control, and he's still here and he's still taking W's because obviously we got Scottie to tie this all back because of Masai. And just we're in a good place, I think, as a franchise. I don't think it will take the Raptors too long to really return to Eastern Conference prominence. I would say being like one of the best teams in the East. I don't think it'll take that long. And again, like so much of that goes to Masai and the way he's structured this franchise and the way he's positioned it for success. So Masai, we're happy you're here.
We're very glad you're here. All right. So JJ, thank you once again for being here. Any last thoughts before we end this video here?
Yeah, it rains way too much on the West Coast.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We do want to hear from you guys. So let us know in the comment section. What do you thought about this whole Masai Ujiri saga, if you want to call it? What do you think about Scottie Barnes? Your reaction so far into this short sample of this season? Let us know. And again, guys, make sure I'll leave JJ Bucket's link in the comment section below. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. Make sure to subscribe to my channel. And make sure to like this video, guys. So thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. What's up, Raptors fans? Welcome to the Warrior Horde. I know, fuck man. As you say, I know you guys know